Bob? Denise? All ready? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call this October 28th Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisor meeting to order. I'll rise if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we will do a quick roll call.
Chair Del Corso,
Here.
Vice Chair Strauss,
Good evening.
Supervisor Hartle,
Here.
Supervisor Piper,
Here.
and Supervisor Beck.
Here.
All right. Next up are going to be our opening announcements, which are pretty much almost the same every time, but we'll go ahead, Denise.
Basically the same as every time. This is currently being recorded live on CNET's YouTube channel. There's a link in our agenda. The township is always asking for volunteers, whether that is to help with a specific event or if you'd like to be on any type of authority, board, or commission. If you have any interest, you can email me or you can look at our township website. And last thing that isn't on here, but I do want to note, is that we had an executive session on October 11th from 7:45 p.m. to 9:02 p.m. to discuss personnel issues, and nothing was decided at that time.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we will allow any citizen comments of any items that are not on the agenda already for this evening, and we do like to limit those to about 5 minutes. So if any citizens have comments about anything that is not already on the agenda tonight. Did you receive anything ahead of time?
I didn't receive anything ahead of
Okay.
time, and there's nobody
Anything?
on the YouTube
Nope.
comment
Okay.
portion either.
We'll move along then to the approval of tonight's agenda as is. Does anyone have anything that they wanted to change or adapt to the agenda before we approve it?
I asked that we make one small change, which
Yes.
is just to change new business A and B around. Jacqueline from Boyer and Ritter's with us and has a new baby. We'd like to get her out and back to her baby as
Okay.
soon as possible.
So under new business, 6B will be the first item and then A.
Yes.
I move that we approve tonight's agenda with said amendments.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Oh, okay, Dave got it first. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right. Thank you. The agenda is approved. Next up was the approval of our minutes from 2 meetings in October, so I'll entertain a motion for those. No. One was a budget meeting, one was our regular meeting.
I will move that we approve the minutes from October 14th, 2021's budget and regular meetings.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Chuck. Is there any discussion or changes or edits to those minutes? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
I will abstain.
Abstain, you weren't here. Yeah, thank you. One abstain. And I heard you, Patty. Thank you. All right, next up is our consent agenda, which is checks and bills list for the period of October 9 through the 22nd. General fund in the amount of $10,914. Open Space Preservation Fund in the amount of $599,750.77. And Parks and Rec Fund in the amount of $2,999.62. If you have any questions about any particular item, we would need to pull that out of the consent agenda and have a motion for each of these separately. If you're comfortable with everything that was provided in the report from Brett before this meeting, then we can go ahead and have a motion for the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda for this evening.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Just so I'm clear, or with the motion, can I ask about a line item, or does that then?
I think so, yes.
Just the 5,000 for, what is this? Half toe? And I looked in the explanations and it looked like it was some kind of insurance payment, liability insurance. What is it exactly?
I just closed that one out, so give me just one
Yeah, I'm
second.
sorry.
In the general fund?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Dottie and Hench.
Oh, Doty and Hench?
Um,
That is,
yeah, okay.
that's our workers' comp.
To the state?
Insurance?
Or, okay, gotcha. That's the insurance company that would handle the work. Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, that's,
And that's just the standard, like, insurance payments.
that, right,
We're not
that's our,
covering someone's workman's comp.
no, that's our workers'
Gotcha.
comp insurance.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of the bills list in the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Wait for Patty.
Patty?
Thanks.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
That's okay. That was everybody, right? I think everybody approved. Okay. We'll move along then to old business. We have two different sign requests that we asked staff to get some information on, and they did that. So we can go ahead, Denise.
Yep, the very first one is for Centennial Hills. There was a request at the last meeting. We contacted Bradco to get a quote for a Watch Children sign that was requested. The amount for this sign is $55 with a $42.95 post assembly. Total is less than $100. It's $97.95. I talked to Scott today, and the comment was that we put one sign at each direction in the township. He provided me with a little map showing the two places. So one would be at the beginning of Centennial Hills and James Hill. It's like a loop, and the other one would be at the end of it. So
Can we pass?
yeah, I don't know if you could, there's two dots there. So basically it'd be at the two corners where it
There
loops.
we go. I got it.
So we would have to order two signs.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I got
don't
it.
I don't have an
We can
objection
pass
to
that.
that. I did actually see in the Storm Sound Neighbors group, I don't wanna govern through a Facebook group, but, there was another suggestion that was made that if it would be possible to, what was it? Move the existing sign located at the corner of Ike and Centennial to Marengo and Centennial. I think it's about a block or two further down. That's at the actual opening of the community. It's the only road in and out. So that was a suggestion. I would have no objection to that either, but I don't know if,
I did not receive a formal request.
Yeah, I would rather that come from the citizens
Okay, sure.
directly, so if they do
That's
wanna
fine.
request that, anyone that's listening, and I know, Amy is online, I think, Amy Pastor, is that correct? Hi, Amy, so if there's any other suggestions,
wanna take a look
we
at
would
it?
definitely want that to come directly to the township office. So we'll let, Dave and Chuck take a look at the map there, so you can see where the two signs would go.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, you can, go ahead.
The audio bleeped out, so I was wondering, was the suggestion from the other Centennial Hill person was moving it from Ike, the sign from Ike Circle down to Marengo?
I think that's what Bob said.
yeah, that's the suggestion that I
Okay.
made.
All right,
We need a
I'll
formal
let
request
Travis
for
know,
that.
and he can send in that request then.
Yes, that would
Thank
be
you.
great. I have no issue, the sign was a lot less expensive than I thought, and if
Sure
this
was.
is helpful for safety and security and the neighbors feeling more comfortable, I'm totally fine with that. Do you guys have any comments? Or issues on that first sign? Do we need a motion to?
No.
We don't need a motion to do that, right? You guys all right? No comments, questions, concerns?
The only thing I was just wondering, it's a closed loop system out there. Is there an issue with vehicles or something? I mean, I wasn't here for that.
Oh, yeah, you weren't here.
So Amy Pester, who is present, had submitted a formal request to the township that there are about, she said 20, I believe. Amy, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, there are now 20 since there was a baby born about a week or so ago. But in the last year, we've had a number of children move in, and just on the Centennial side, not the James Hill side, there are 20 children, with the majority of them being under the age of 10. They're great kids. They are always out in the street, in the yards, and we're just not used to having that many children again. And it's just a reminder for people to slow down and watch out for them. They are short and they're quick.
Well, I was just trying to see if we had another problem going on, or if it was just a matter of there's a lot of kids in the neighborhood.
No, it
An
is
uptick.
it's just a children thing. And then you have the buses going through and people dropping off kids and picking up kids who aren't from the neighborhood tend to go a little quicker than they probably should.
Okay.
I would
Thank
just
you.
like to add a side note to that it's just a wonderful thing to hear that the children of our community are outside playing.
Yes.
That
yes.
is, I will put up a sign on every
Yes.
corner if I have to get
Yep.
the kids outside and enjoying nature instead of staring at screens. So,
Like we do all day.
yeah, exactly. But I get paid for it, so, you know.
Can we put a watch adult sign out there for them around there too?
Not enough adults outside.
That's true. Okay, so no other questions, concerns, all good? 2 signs?
2 signs.
All right,
We will
thank
do it.
you very much. And thank you, Amy, for bringing that forth to us. The second one is another type of sign.
So we
Go-
received,
go ahead.
we, before we started our formal complaint system where something is required that you fill out a form and identify who you are and how we get in touch with you. I've been tracking complaints since my time here, and one that we continually get is for the school buses in Trotter Farms, specifically Stableview Drive. We've had the bus driver contact us multiple times and the school district telling us that they cannot turn the buses around because people are parking in the cul-de-sac. So this complaint came in again, and this is marks, since I've been here, at least 5 of the same
Wow.
complaint. So we looked into putting signs that basically say no parking and that you'll be towed. Because we've been having difficulty even getting people to reply when we contact them. So we did send out a letter, I believe it was either late last year or this year, to those residents saying, you know, please be cognizant of the fact that this is a complaint and there's no parking on our township roads, but we still are receiving the complaints. So we looked into the same thing and getting signs for that cul-de-sac specifically. So the price to do 2 signs that are just, you have options here. You can do a 30 by 30, a 24 by 24, but we just want to make sure that we do something to deal with the fact that there is a parking issue there, and that this is for school bus safety for the children.
Just to clarify, we won't have to do any type of resolution or anything to make it a no parking zone because technically all of our roads in
It
the
already
township
is,
are,
yeah, it
no,
already is.
we're
It
not allowed to park
specifically already
on
is.
the roads. Okay.
So this kind of is a way to remind people, and then we will be towing if
Yeah.
it becomes an issue.
Comments?
Let's do it.
And we have,
Do you have a recommendation on which sign? Did you see the different, there's a small sign that just says no parking in the cul-de-sac, then there's 2 different signs, a 24 by 24 and a 30 by 30, that say no parking in the cul-de-sac, violators will be towed at their expense.
Well, it's a residential neighborhood, large signs are not gonna be popular.
That's what
with
I was
neighbors,
thinking,
Even
too.
if they're parking in the cul-de-sac.
That's
So
what I was thinking.
Let's do small, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we bring the hammer out.
then we can line them
The 12 by
blinking
18?
lights.
That's exactly what I was thinking. There's like 5 or 6 houses on that cul-de-sac. They don't want a big 30 by 30 sign, I doubt.
Front yard, front window,
Yeah.
You see a big sign saying no
Yeah.
parking.
So the 12 by 18?
12 by 18, no parking. I mean, I kind of wish it still had the violators will be towed available on it, but
Probably add it.
Well, what is the? what
it
was
says
the other
no,
one? was
it says no
12 by-
parking in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And that's
It will actually just be no parking. I checked
Oh.
with Scott again today, and it will just be no parking. Violators will be towed. We're just not gonna have in the cul-de-sac.
Oh, can that
Oh,
be,
but
that
you-
can go on the 12 by 18 as well?
That I don't know.
Okay, well, that's okay.
We can,
I think a smaller sign is better for the neighbors.
Yeah, but we, just to, make sure, we've made more than reasonable attempts to
Yes.
contact the folks in the neighborhood to try and remind them that they shouldn't be doing this.
yes, the school bus drivers have actually knocked on the residents' doors.
Really?
Yes, so this has become a problem.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So then maybe they need the big sign to annoy them. Since they're the ones that are
not doing it.
The big concern is safety.
Yeah.
Safety is the biggest concern.
Okay.
So we'll look at the 12 by 18.
Is that what we're saying? Let's start small?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
let's do
agree with
it.
that.
Okay.
How many? One?
It's a
one.
cul-de-sac, yeah. Should be good, hopefully. Do you plan on sending another notice to those folks, letting them know there's now an official sign, you will be towed?
I can do that.
It might be nice, just so that they know we are putting up the sign also, and if cars are left, you will be towed,
Okay.
just so they know. And they can tell their friends or any neighbors who are coming to visit them.
Everybody has a driveway out here using it.
Yeah, we got plenty of space.
More number of cars in front.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, next up on the agenda, this is new business now, and we moved item B first. So this is Resolution 2021-18, appointing Boyer and Ritter to conduct the 2021 audit.
Yes, if you remember, we, at one of our prior meetings, we talked about advertising, because it's a requirement of the second-class township code that we advertise our intent to hire a CPA firm. When we did our RFPs for auditor, we had said that we were going to go with Boyer and Ritter for a one-year contract with the possibility of extending depending on how the first year goes. Present with us today is Jacqueline Davison. She has provided the township with an engagement letter that we can sign and get started. She and I have had some great emails and conversations to start the process. We just have a resolution to actually appoint them. And we do this every year with our auditor. We're just doing it on a different schedule because we're switching auditors.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-18, appointing Boyer and Ritter LLC to conduct the 2021 audit.
Is there a second? Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? Jacqueline, I'll let you speak. Do you want to say anything?
Not much to say, but thank you. We appreciate the opportunity and certainly look forward to working with Denise and the rest of the township.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Wonderful,
That was it.
Jacqueline. I will have
Thank you.
everything signed and over to you shortly.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have the Center Region Council of Governments 2022 budget, and we have two guests this evening, the director, executive director Eric Nornberg and Joe Vigiloni. Are you used to staying back there, Joe? Okay.
Just here for moral support.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And this is same time every year, same bat channel, same bat place. Budgeting happens all around. So, do you have something to provide initially for us, or do you want us to just start? Or?
Well, I could just make some opening
Sure.
remarks and just note that I think you're all pretty familiar that the COG budget process is quickly becoming almost a year-round process. We started in March, April timeframe working on it, starting to prepare the program plan. The program plan then was reviewed in July. But most recently, the detailed budget went through a fairly comprehensive review by the Finance Committee, and a number of items were modified, changed to bring down the total cost of the budget. So we feel it's something that the Finance Committee has fully recommended, as well as the Executive Committee, and Joe and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
One thing that I was going to ask, can you make this bigger? Just a couple notes for Halfmoon Township that I wanted to point out, so you could see our column over there on the right.
Yes,
How do you get over there?
I don't know. That's a great question right
Is
now.
there a scroll bar at the bottom?
I don't know why there isn't.
Interesting.
Okay,
While you're, you can kind of see there. So if you just kind of yeah,
Highlight it.
Half Moon Township's little section there. Just wanted to point out to everyone that there are some COG programs that we do not participate in. So if you look where the blank lines in Half Moon Township are, is the parks operating the parks program and the fire program we do not participate in. So there are no costs there. And the nature center is part of parks, and so is the active adult center. So that's why you see no numbers there. in the Halfmoon Township column where there are in the other townships. So I did want to just highlight that. The programs that we participate in are emergency management, the planning, that we have a local planner and we use regional planning services. The CCMPO is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which is around regional transportation planning. COG administration, and I'm sorry, my eyes are so bad, and the SCLO library. So those are the primary items where the costs are. And then we have a little bit that we participate in there with the COG, the building itself. All 6 municipalities pay a little bit into the COG building lease. And same thing with the SCLO library capital, that goes into that as well. And a small COG contingency contingency fund is established for emergencies, and we pay a small amount into that. So just wanted to highlight that those are the primary things that Halfmoon Township participates in, and that's where our membership contributions go. And I'll highlight also, if anybody looks at page 21 of the budget, it lists the municipalities and the percentage of the COG budget. And since 2015, the Halfmoon Township percentage of the COG budget has been relatively the same, around between 4.1% and 4.4%. So Halfmoon Township's contribution is this coming year 4.23% of the entire COG budget. So just wanted to highlight that as well. And that has not, has fluctuated a little bit, but we are actually, the percentage of the budget, we're 0.07% less than last year. So just a couple things, like I said, specifically to Halfmoon that I wanted to mention in the COG budgeting process.
2 things. Amy just said sounds an issue, so I would encourage you to speak up whenever possible. This afternoon, we changed some numbers in our budget. So Eric and everybody at the COG, and Joe especially, everybody did a fantastic job. The numbers that I gave you in the budget that we originally looked at, they were able to save us $2,500 from changes that were made in discussions at the general forum and through the finance committee, and savings that were realized through the insurance fund. And
Lovely.
they did a fantastic job. So actually what we did is our numbers are $2,500 less than what you saw in the budget originally. We changed that and put the savings into the unencumbered funds. So if we have something comes up and we want to
emergency
spend,
We can use it?
Yep.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
Okay.
How much less is this year's than last year's COG fee for us?
I don't think it's less.
No, it's not less.
Oh, no.
We save
Yeah.
$2,500,
Never
but
gonna
we're
be
still
less.
paying more.
from what
And
we
our
budgeted.
percentage is down.
The percentage, it's 14,591, more than last year. And that-
14 grand.
And that reflects some increases in some of the items that the chair noted, and some decreases as well, so it's fluctuated in a couple of different areas.
There are studies going on for IT. There's, the different committees have done a bunch of changes and have a bunch of consultants coming in and that has increased some of the costs as well.
So, yeah, administration is increasing as we're adding staff, one in the spring, one in the fall, to help with the workload, catch up on things. Decrease in library operating by about $3,300, decrease in library capital, increase for the study that Denise mentioned, and the planning agency, that's a 1-year project, so that's a one-time, then decrease in CCMPO, and then $100 increase in emergency management, and that all nets out to just over $14,590.
So even though our, what we contribute for this upcoming year went up, our overall, again, percentage of the COG budget is actually down a little bit.
Is our 2022 COG formula based on the 2020 census, or is those numbers not added in yet?
I'll let Joe address that.
Come on up, Joe.
If you don't know, that's okay. I mean, I'm not gonna
I know.
That's all we want.
Joe Vigilone, COG Finance Director. It is based upon the 2020 census estimates, excluding students, not the 2020 actual census. There is some questions coming through with the managers as to the validity of that data. I shouldn't try big words, I apologize. So the census estimates were used until they can go back and relook at the census.
So Halfmoon is not planning on contesting the census, but some municipalities receive different grants and different funding based off of their population, and those numbers, by being lower than what anticipated, affects their funding. So there might be some municipalities who will be contesting the census.
It's like contesting the last election. How long is that gonna go for?
There's a cost associated with it, and that's also why it doesn't, our portion was what, I think we had like 135 people more or something,
Yeah,
it's
it
small.
wasn't-
But those municipalities will pay for it if they choose to do that contestation, I don't know what, again, I'm not gonna use those words. But it is a process, and they have to get individual census takers out, and they have to pay for that as well, so. Our numbers might change slightly in that, but
Right, not significant.
But there is some significant ones between, mainly I think the borough was very significant.
And I'm sure they're not the only ones in Pennsylvania that's gonna be contesting that. 'cause
No, I was
others-
gonna say, I'm sure it's
Similar
a
situation.
widespread
Yeah.
complaint. Not that I think there's any validity to it, I'm not making that claim, but yeah, I
So,
know it's
back,
a common.
yeah, back to the budget. What other questions do we have? So we can make the motion to
I'm just
approve.
trying to ascertain if
Yeah.
our numbers are based on our basically zero growth, or if it was some projected growth that we were supposed to have that we didn't. Because typically, this township increases, in 1980, we went from roughly 900 people to 1,600 people, from 1,600 to like 2,200 to whatever it is in the last census. And, typically, we're jumping 800 to 1,000 people, and this time we've only gone up about 100 people. And I assume by driving around the center region, and particularly North Atherton Street, that the whole world has moved to State College. So, I would see that our percentage, based on the population anyways, would have gone down significantly.
And just to answer, there's three factors to the COG formula. The main COG formulas would be used for a portion of it, the planning, for the regional planning, the administration, and the emergency management budget. And that's a third split between assessed value of real estate, earned income, revenue, not revenue, but earned income wages. So the wage base, not your percentage of it, and then population excluding students. That's been the basis for those for those three budgets. The fourth budget that you are a member of is the library, and that is a usage-based formula based upon number of checkouts. That was changed, I want to say, in the 2018 timeframe at a request of Halfmoon Township to make it a 3-year averaging from a single year actual checkouts to basically smooth some of the ebbs and flows that may happen within 1 year. And then so that's been in there in that time, and that was looked at earlier this year by the finance committee and the managers as well.
The finance committee actually audited the number of books checked out by the library, or at the library.
There's software to do it. They didn't go through and do a full audit, no. But there is software that automatically tracks the checkouts by municipality based upon your cards.
And the library provides those reports.
Right, but when Joe said that formula was reviewed, it was looked at by both the municipal managers as well as the finance committee to determine whether or not that formula and that methodology should be changed. And there was consensus that the formula should stay the same for now, but that everybody should keep monitoring, because electronic books, ebook checkouts, and those sorts of resources are starting to increase, especially as a result of the pandemic. But there was no concern that we should change it right away, because that might taper back off and return more to normal after things get back to normal elsewise. So the feeling is keep an eye on it, and if the ebook checkouts become a a greater share of the total circulation, that would be a time to start looking at that. It is harder to track the ebook checkouts by municipality than it is regular checkouts, but
The ebook checkout would be a lot less work for the people at the library. I mean, there's no Dewey Decimal System, it just,
right. But there are other complexities with it, but it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on and monitoring over the next few years to see if we have to factor that in.
okay.
And not including the digital checkouts was also a position, at this time was a position that Half Moon Township had supported in those conversations.
When we talked about it, again, like these gentlemen said, we all went through it, and I asked the questions about digital checkouts because I feel like that's a large portion of it, but the tracking of it is incredibly complex, and it's not at a state that we can do. But this is.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't understand why it's so difficult to.
Hold on, let Denise finish first.
So one of the things that we looked at, and this is when I went in and talked, and this is why I encourage you to go do this. I went in and talked to Lisa and toured the library. And it's really, I think part of the problem that we're facing is we base all of this on checkouts, where there's so many services that are provided within the library that are beyond checkouts of books, even digital books. They provide services for printing. They provide career services. They provide language services. They provide so many different things. And it's unreal when you actually go in and realize how much is involved, that to try to break that down by township, and there's things that we can't track right now. And there are services that are being provided to our residents that go far beyond just book checkouts, whether electronic or
So
old school.
basically, there is a formula that is used to try and be as equitable or fair across municipalities as possible, knowing there are other things that are gonna be changing and other considerations that it may not be the best solution and will probably be looked at again shortly, in the next few years.
Yes,
Yeah.
I pushed
Yeah.
specifically very hard on that because I wanted that data myself to justify the fact that we do send that type of money. But then looking at the services, it made much more sense when you look at it as a whole versus just checkouts.
Thank you.
Just
Okay.
asking questions.
Yeah.
I like it.
So anything else related to the COG budget that you had concerns or questions about? And if not, we can make a motion to pass the budget to the general forum.
I move that we pass the Center Region Council of Governments 2022 budget to
Not
the
pass,
general.
I
forum.
didn't use the wrong word.
So what we're doing tonight, when we pass our budget, we will be passing their portion of the
Gotcha,
budget. What
gotcha.
we're doing right now is providing any additional comments
Gotcha.
So
that
we
may
don't
be
need 'em.
needed.
So we don't really need a motion.
No, there's,
Okay.
they're here to answer any questions that you have, and if you have any comments that you want to provide in a technical format, I can provide those, but otherwise,
One more set of numbers, I guess. We pay for COG planning, good guys, good girls, good people over there. What is our number for planning versus COG administration?
Did you look at the budget?
I did, but I don't have it with me today.
Oh, okay. So the planning is $72,990, and the administration is $25,997.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
and
So when this is how I kind of look at it with the planning, especially. Think about an employee. If we did not pay for that through COG, we would be paying an employee or some contracted services or something like that.
and it's not just our local planner, it also provides
Re-
CCMPO, so it's transportation planning, it's regional planning, it's a lot more than just one planner.
Right.
What else? Anything else?
Well, thank you very much. It's good to see you all again, and
Thank you.
thanks for the feedback and questions.
Okay. And if you think of anything else, when do we need the comments back by?
December 18th, I think.
November.
November.
Agent.
Yes.
At 8 a.m.
8 a.m. You're right. I
Sorry.
remember it was 8 a.m. So if you do think of anything else, let Denise know, and she can write up some notes and send it to anybody if there's any other comments. Patty, you okay? Do you have any questions? She's still there.
Yeah, I'm good. I sat through
Oh yeah. She's on the finance
hours and
committee.
hours of budget meetings.
Very patiently.
Yes.
So from a standpoint of actual comments to the executive director. Do we have anything that we need to provide specifically?
I do. Anybody?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I
You
think we're good.
guys did a fantastic job this year. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
cutting that
Very
document by so many pages too.
I know, very smooth process. Thank you all. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
out.
guys, good to see you.
Should we say our tagline?
Yeah, careful, watch out for deer.
Watch out for deer. All right, excellent.
It's not just a cliche around here either.
No. The next item is very exciting. It is about to look for a logo for Halfmoon Township, a new logo. Very excited to see these. Are you gonna pull them up on the screen? Thanks, guys.
Yes, I am. So
You don't
I'm
have
going to.
Dave's up there, right?
No.
So I'm going to start by saying, when I first came to Half Moon, the very first thing I noticed is that our logo is a crescent moon for a half moon. Okay, that was kind of strange to begin with, but then I kind of looked at the whole situation and I tried to figure out what our collateral is. So what do we have? And we have one file that cannot be blown up, expanded. It's not designed to use on anything. If you look, and I wish I hadn't closed the budget.
It's fuzzy. The image is fuzzy. It's not overly.
The COG budget has a fantastic look at this. Will literally show you in.
Yes.
So right here are the other township logos, and you can see that ours is not meant to be expanded very clearly. I looked at this whole process and said, okay, how do we get a new logo for Half Moon that represents who we are and is an actual half moon? So we reached out and put it on Facebook and said, hey, we're looking for anybody that has InDesign skills. We would love it if you want to do this free for the township, because free is great for us. So we did get some residents who were interested, and we are working with Kelton Fedor. And Kelton has come up with 3 logos that staff basically seems to like. And I wanted I'll hold them up in addition to showing them on screen, so that you can kind of see them.
Look together. Do you want me to help you?
Yes. So the idea is we want to look at this and kind of figure out if we want to go to the public and ask whether or not they like these and which one they prefer. And then we will have vector files. We will have like legitimate
Yes.
files
Image files,
that we can
yeah.
use and then become cohesive. And with something that kind of represents this township better than a crescent moon. So while Danelle holds that up, I'm going to still try to figure out how to use Zoom still.
It's been a couple years now, Denise.
I know, there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. So this is what I would call 1. Okay, Amy's telling me there's no sound.
You broke it.
No sound. Patty, can you hear us? Who else?
Yes, it just goes, it just pauses for a while and then it comes back. Because you're either there or you're not there.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try.
Well, we'll have a wonderful CNET video of this. So this is the first one that we kind of came up with, which is representative of what we feel is Half Moon, which is a barn and, of course, animals. And this was pretty simple.
Can't
We looked.
hear you.
What do we do?
You don't have your microphone covered, or will it be coming off?
No, because it's all coming through.
The owl?
Yeah, it might just be the Wi-Fi.
Sorry.
Because but this is the first one that we came up with, and we wanted to look at something that didn't have a bunch of colors, that was screen printable and embroiderable. I don't. That's something that could be embroidered, perhaps. So this was 1. We have 2. This one was just different in color, with a barn, animals coming towards it versus away. Just kind of like that. And then we have 3, which is kind of like incorporates the half moon, the barn, and an apple tree. The one that you see on screen is a little bit different than this one. This one has, the one on screen is a little bit more detailed. I asked for it to be less detailed so that we could screen print, embroider, and it didn't become a nightmare for that. I've done screen printing, it's exhausting. So these were the three. We didn't know if anybody had a preference. If you'd like the public to vote on them, we'd like to take some time and discuss.
Okay, your preferences first. Anyone?
I prefer the shield.
I kind of do too. Even though I love both of these as well, this has more of Halfmoon Township in it.
Yes, and it makes it more municipality-ish, I'd say.
What do you guys think?
I think we ought to have a half moon in the center one there, up in the sky, like it's at night.
Ooh.
Because we don't have any half moons on either of the other two.
I
We have
know.
full moons, I guess, or
Well,
something.
the first one was supposed to be like a moon.
Yeah, but that's a full moon,
But
which
it
is
was-
as bad as having a.
But you can only see one half at a time.
Yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah.
So
If you're like looking towards evening and you're just seeing the silhouettes of the animals, instead of having the clouds up there, if you just had a moon
Yeah,
up there.
had the moon.
Might be nice to see what it would look like if they're willing, if Kelton is willing to try that.
I will tell you that we've gone through over 11
I'm sure.
modifications.
They're all nice
Sure.
ideas, but if we're gonna
Yes.
put time into this, let's,
Put time into it. It's
Get
gonna be our
something
logo. If he's
So-
gonna
willing
be
to
stuck with
try.
it for another 20 years or something, so.
I'm
Then we'll
hoping
be
this
saying,
is
well,
it.
it doesn't zoom in and out like the modern stuff does, and
What we could also potentially do is put these three up and say, with this one, you know, what about a moon in the sky?
it looks like a night
Yeah.
image,
It
maybe
could,
some
yeah.
stars and a moon, you
Yeah.
know.
Preference?
Chuck, do you have a
I
preference?
like the middle one.
The middle one?
The blue, yeah. But I agree with what he's saying, instead of a cloud, have a moon up there, but maybe it's just the
Okay.
color or something, but I like that.
I do like the color of it,
The
and I
color
like
is
the
pleasant.
I like the simplicity of it also. I do like I kind of like this because it does have, and the
It has a legit
apples. The
half
apples
moon
is
in
a
it, yeah.
piece of us as
Yes.
well, and the half moon is definitely clearer there.
Personally, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
But
It's
I'm-
actually reminiscent of, I think it's Patton Township or maybe College
Somebody
Township
else's.
is very similar.
So here,
too close to Patton, that's
it is a
Yeah.
little too close. Here's what well, now that you mentioned screen printing and things like that, think of this on a shirt
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. This is, to me, a little bit easier than something like
A
that.
little more user-friendly.
Yeah, and you'd be able to see it a little bit more.
Wearer-friendly, I
Yeah, a
should
little
say.
more wearable.
I'd like to have letterhead and our envelopes match, like,
Yes,
you know,
all of it.
Although-
Yeah.
basically branding us.
Yes.
Who says you can't use both?
You should
Penn
have-
State University has two separate
One's for
logos,
athletics.
and one's athletics and one's
One's
academics.
We don't really have athletics,
Well,
but
but
I
you
think
could
it
have,
is-
but you could have this
We
on
don't
like
have a lot.
official
We have-
paperwork, and then that for apparel.
I will tell you from a marketing perspective, from somebody who used to do marketing,
Make it simple.
keep your branding
Yeah.
to one.
Yeah.
Unless you have separate divisions, which
Gotcha.
we don't have separate half moon divisions at this point. And right now, we're not, we need to establish who we are and our identity and who we are as a community. And I think, you know, the crescent moon is cute, but I think having something that really establishes who we are would be good. So
You
I,
didn't find the really old logo back in the records anywhere, did you?
electronic,
No, it was
On paper somewhere?
on paper
Probably.
somewhere.
I
It
have
was
not gone
actually
through
a
all
half
of our
moon,
paper
but-
files
I
yet.
don't remember.
No, somebody burned them, but
So
From the standpoint, out of these right now, I do like that one the best. However, thinking forward from a branding perspective, this is simpler for
I'd buy the
any
T-shirt for
piece.
the one on the left, but I
Yes.
wouldn't buy the T-shirt for the one on the right.
That's how I was thinking of it, actually. From a like
Yes.
business professional kind of standpoint, I like that one. But from a logo for everybody, I like this one.
This is true, because the one on our right, Denise's left, that and a little logo on a T-shirt screams, "I play golf." And I don't play golf.
Not a golfer.
it does. So do we want to keep these two for the public, or do we want to
Put 'em all
do?
up there, I mean.
Yeah, sure, put
Let
them
'em
up
pick.
there. It's their
If they don't
decision.
like it, maybe they
It's
get
their
some
town.
suggestions.
Would you like
I'd like
this-
that too.
Do you want to keep
Sure.
the blue and do a half moon instead of a cloud?
Yeah.
And just make that change and then put all three out?
I would be okay not putting this one out and making people choose between that and that. This is very similar to the one in the
Yeah, it's
middle.
kind of the same thing.
I think it's the color that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the drabness of the yellow behind it.
Well, it
either.
was
The
supposed to be a
yellow
moon,
reminds me of a harvest moon, but it's
not.
full moon, so.
Yeah, yeah. So change the clouds to a moon.
And then we'll put these two out?
Yeah, half moon.
I like it.
Do we want to keep the blue?
I like the blue.
Maybe a darker blue,
A
if that's
a
possible.
more dusk blue. If it's gonna look okay.
Yeah, sure. These are just suggestions.
Like the sky is.
I like
turquoise.
Dave's idea too about maybe if a resident has a logo they want to
Totally.
submit.
Sure.
Absolutely, we would love to see people's
I don't
ideas.
think we're under any pressure to.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to.
No, I will tell you, my plan is that we have something by January because we're working on the new foldable map.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that we send out to each resident and the welcoming packets. So
I want to get that
I
done.
kind of want to not sit on it for a year and kind of
No, we could do something.
Get
by
something
January,
moving, yeah.
because this isn't that big of a decision, so.
Well, I mean, it is and it isn't because this is what's now going to be plastered and wherever
True.
Halfmoon Township is
But
going
I
to
think
be.
we have enough time to do it right.
Yeah,
2
yeah.
months, and we can get this done.
And those are lovely, lovely logos to choose from.
I will tell you, Kelton
Kelton did a great job.
he did a fantastic job, and I cannot begin to describe how many changes I had him make, and he was calm.
And he's still talking to you.
I could not believe it. I could not believe it. He was
If you're
fantastic.
gonna do graphic design, you're gonna have to have some changes.
Yes.
Get used
You
to
have
that.
to have a lot
so.
of patience with your customers.
He was very kind about some of the things that I was
Yeah.
like, well, what about just moving it a half inch this way or adding this line? So, yes. So what we'll do is I'll ask him to make that revision so that this is a darker blue and that becomes a half moon, and then we can.
Did Patty get a chance to comment on
Oh,
that?
Patty.
Hi, Patty.
Hello,
Which one do
I
you
saw
like?
them. Well, I pretty much agreed with the discussion. I initially, like for business reasons, like the shield, but I understand with the other one. And I think if you make the changes that you discussed to that one, and I would agree not putting the other one up because people that like that, then the votes would get split between those two in the end, rather than, yeah, so I would just put one of each type up.
Okay.
Excellent. We're all in agreement. Okay. Love it. Very exciting. Okay. We have a couple other items here. Next up is the Manager Ordinance. There were some updates to the ordinance. Some of it just language updates, but a couple things that you're going to point out, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So if you remember, the board gave me a 1-year exemption to live in Bellefonte because the manager's ordinance said I had to live in the township or in a neighboring township or one in the center region. And one, I couldn't afford a home by myself. And two, I couldn't find a home. So after almost a year's worth of trying, you gave me the ability to live within Bellefonte and update the manager's ordinance. So we made some changes to this so that now the residency requirement is that you live either within the township, the touching surrounding municipalities, or one that is one of the COG, either Upper Bald Eagle COG or the
Center region.
thank you, center region, or within a typical 30-minute drive, which I can be here in 22 minutes. So that provides the ability to live close by, but within the 30-minute response time to the administrative offices. Additionally, we changed some of the wording in here because there is a plan long-term to change some titles around. I think we've talked about that a little bit, so that the manager is now responsible to ensure the duties of the township secretary are completed and ensure the duties of the treasurer are completed. But the manager will be the manager and not the manager, secretary, treasurer, and have 45 titles. So the manager's responsibilities remain the same, but the idea is that the manager is responsible for ensuring that all of those duties are completed, whether they're delegated to somebody else or not. We had Zach review it. Zach, I don't know if there's anything, we do have a red line copy available if you would like to see all the changes. Zach, is there anything else specific that you would like to address?
I think you largely covered it. I think I would just basically note that a lot of the minor changes were to try to bring the language in accordance with the relevant section of the second-class township code, section 1301, and to just contemplate as well in a few places we reference subject to any contractual rights that may arise under an employment agreement, just because, again, the second-class township code authorizes the township to enter into employment agreements with its manager, so we wanted to kind of build that into the language of the ordinance. But otherwise, just I think it can best be described as some administrative housekeeping and just try to make things jive with the provisions of the second-class township code.
Thank you.
So this would be to advertise,
Request for permission to advertise for hearing.
yes.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we move to request for, no, you're requesting. I move that we grant permission to advertise the manager ordinance as updated.
I second.
Is there,
Question, what's the date for the hearing?
good question.
Amy, do you have that off the top of your head? It will be
18th
of December, or November 18th.
November.
Thank you.
Is that when we're also doing the budget? Or budget is in December 8th or something, right?
9th.
9th or something,
Yeah.
okay. November 18th is the public hearing date.
Got enough time to get our 14 days and our 7 days?
That meets all the requirements for legalities.
I'm just asking, okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next up, thank you, is Resolution 2021-19, which is amends and sets forth a schedule of fees. There were
Two changes.
Go ahead.
Earlier this year, we did the Parkland fee in lieu of, we had passed that ordinance. So this updates that so that our Parkland has that information in it. And the second piece is Act 50 for wireless communication facilities goes into effect tomorrow. And we had nothing in our fee schedule for that specific portion of Act 50. So this allows that if a wireless communication facility comes in, the application fee is, last page, Dave, 1,000 for 5 or 1,000 per each additional co-located antenna that's on the same application, plus a right-of-way fee that's allowed to be collected as per Act 50 law.
Those are the only two changes.
That's it. Only 2 changes. We will have more changes each year because we go through that on a yearly basis, but because of the provisions of Act 50 and the fact that we did pass that parkland dedication, I wanted to make sure that that was updated properly.
I think at the rates that we're charging here for the small cell wireless facility application is something set by the state.
Yes.
Good to know. Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution 2021-19, amending and setting forth the schedule of fees.
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions or discussion? Other than what we've already asked. Patty, you okay?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. All right, next up is our Halfmoon Township Draft 2022 budget. Permission to advertise for public input and set the hearing date.
Yes. So the only change that happened again is everything that you've seen and we've discussed. Nothing changed, except for the $2,500 that was saved in the COG that number changed and was added to the,
Unencumbered.
thank you, thank you. So we'd like permission to advertise that for public input for 20 days and then hold the public hearing on the budget on December 9th. We, again, changed all those forms so that it's in accordance with DCED for simplicity, and this will be available on public display on the website and also at the township building.
And remind me of process. So after we have that public hearing, then we, right after that, can approve the budget, correct? So
Yes.
we still have the opportunity to discuss after the public hearing.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to note, one,
Discuss and amend.
yes, so one thing I was just gonna mention, which may be fine in the unencumbered, donations. If we ever wanted to throughout a year, offer some donation to anybody, I don't know if we necessarily need to have a specific line item for any kind of possible donations. It could just come out of our unencumbered. So just wanted to maybe mention that and see what we have in there. The reason I bring that up is Patty and I just went to a little conference on, it's called the Center County Association of Township Officials, CCATO, which is all of Center County's local officials, municipal officials, and they give scholarships. And in the little book, somebody from Halfmoon Township got a scholarship. And I was like, oh, well, how much do we donate? Well, we don't donate anything to that scholarship fund. And I was, well, if our residents are possibly taking part in that, it might be nice if we want to consider doing that. So I just wanted to make sure that there was something somewhere in the budget that we could discuss if we wanted to do that for the future. And as long as there is, that's cool. So we can talk about it at that meeting. Thank you.
It doesn't necessarily have to be money that gets spent either. I mean, you don't have
Correct.
to give it away.
Right, we
You
don't
can
have
sit
to,
on
but it would
if
be
you need to.
nice maybe to have some set
something set
aside
aside, sure.
in case something comes up, so. Okay, so we have a motion. I'll move to, ask staff to advertise for our public hearing on the draft 2022 budget on December 9th. Oh, there was a motion in here. I didn't read it.
It's okay. It's
Yeah,
perfect. You got it.
Okay.
almost word
Woohoo.
for word, so.
Lovely.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Bob. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, ayes have it. Lovely. Moving right along. Permission to advertise for 2022 Bituminous Aggregates and Machinery bid.
Yes, this is the yearly bid for just that.
Okay.
We just need permission to go ahead and advertise for it,
I
and
move you get permission to advertise for it.
beautiful, we're gonna,
Second.
Second for Bob. Any discussion?
just that we will open the bids, November 18th,
Okay.
or award,
Award the bids.
yes.
When are we
I
open?
don't know if we want to say that.
Possible award.
Possible awarding of the bid.
Are we anticipating that these materials are gonna go up exponentially like everything else has?
No idea.
Probably. Everything else in home construction is through the roof.
Yeah, sure.
Including
I don't know
concrete.
about that.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. Next up is Open Space Applications Moratorium Memo.
So at the October 13th meeting for the Open Space Preservation Board, there was a discussion about that we're getting ready to do the 5-year program analysis. We put together a committee, and that committee then does an analysis of, the effectiveness of the program, how the funds are going, and if we still have the same goals. During that meeting, I talked about the fact that looking at the budget and really going into things this year, the original projection was a 2% CPI increase year over year. Looking at the data that was available from 1972 forward, it looks that it's an average through recessions and what have you, that it's about 4%. I think we talked about this in the budget. So looking at that, it only allows us to stay viable in the program as is with the current mill rate till about 2060. So I talked about that with the board and made the suggestion that they approve or recommend to you that we put a moratorium on any new open space applications coming in until we can go through that process, see where we stand and how we best use the funds that are available to move towards more permanent purchases of development rights. The board passed that and is recommending that. Staff is recommending that, but it's your responsibility to actually go ahead and put that on. I want to note, though, that there is an application currently in the pipeline, and that application will still go through the process. They're looking for a 99-year lease with a 10-year advance. So that's still going to go through the process that it normally goes through. We'll have Zach do a title search and everything, but this would be on any new applications from this point forward.
So let's get the motion first, and then we can have discussion.
I move that we place a temporary moratorium on all the new open space preservation program applications until the 2022 5-year open space preservation program evaluation and analysis has been completed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
I don't see that it makes a difference whether we close it or leave it open. It's not like people are beating the door down to come in and do it right now. So I think the only thing it might be is somebody might walk in here with a Ways fruit farm, not that I'm condemning Ways, but, you know, some significant thing, and maybe they're not gonna do it now because we've closed it temporarily.
I do have a question, and I think I probably should know this, but we can say no.
You can always say no.
Yes, I will
Okay.
tell you this, that we have reached out.
Yeah.
So in the last 5-year analysis, letters were sent out to anybody who was possibly could be included in that program. And then we also sent letters out to anybody who would be interested in permanent, who's currently in leases and who would be interested in permanent purchases. And we also didn't have very many applications in the last 5 years. I would say we had this one that's going through. So what we're looking at is, like you said, Dave, nobody's beating down the door, but at the same point, now this one, I think we had talked about that where I had said we need to halt and put the brakes on, but that came in the day that I was going to originally suggest it. So I think the idea is let's stop. Like, people have been communicated to, and we've talked about this, and I think everybody's aware of it. The idea is, since no applications were denied in the past, I think it's probably better to just say we're putting a halt on it, because I don't want to give the impression that you're the one that we're saying no to.
Well, when this was set up, there was a rating system set up because the people at that time knew that there would be a limit
Yeah.
as to how much ground could be preserved, which at that time we estimated around 4,000 acres. So, and I don't know where you're getting your numbers from, but I would have to look at them. I mean, I know you have some numbers
Tons.
there. I know somebody did some analysis, but
I'm okay putting the moratorium, because if we really wanted to, we could lift the moratorium.
Sure can.
That's up to us. I like it from the idea standpoint of, let the focus of the open space board be on the analysis. Because if something comes in, then you have to tend to it in some way. And this is basically saying, we're gonna focus totally on this evaluation and analysis and not have to worry about anything potentially coming in. But again, if we want to, we could lift it.
Sure. And after the evaluation and the analysis, we could lift it. I mean, it's
but
something
you could
that
not
you
lift
can.
it also. That's the
Sure.
beauty of it.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the problem is the program is unsustainable in its current state.
Well,
you
that's
don't
what the
know that.
that's what the analysis is for.
Okay,
So
well,
you're saying that, but we don't know that.
estimate that. We think that. So we're having this analysis. This analysis is going to be done, and it's either going to affirm what we believe, or it's going to, tell us we're wrong, and everything goes on. But I'm in agreement with Denise. I think that the program is unsustainable. I mean, it's got some life to it. It said 2060, but I don't want to kick the can down to 2060. I want to take care of this now.
I also want to just say that the 5-year review is something that is always in place.
Yes.
So nobody is saying that it's unsustainable and that's why we're doing the
Yeah,
review. So
exactly.
just be
I'm sorry.
careful
Thank
of
you.
saying that. This review is being done every 5 years, regardless of what anybody thinks. Yes, Patty, you were going to say something.
Yes, I mean, I agree that we need to hold because we haven't had a lot of applications and this gives us a chance to do the analysis. And plus we want to look towards, there's been a lot of discussion about getting more towards permanent easements. So I think we need to look at our partnerships with other groups and see what money we have and see if that's a possibility too, and put more emphasis on that. So I think that, so yeah, I agree that a temporary hold would be to the benefit.
I think maybe we should clarify also for anyone watching, that if we put a moratorium on new leases, that does not mean the folks who currently have leases would stop getting paid, or it will not
Correct.
affect them one
No, that's what Denise
bit.
said.
So, you know, this is just about new leases. So
Correct.
we just want to make that clear.
What other questions or discussion before we vote?
I just don't see a difficulty in walking and chewing gum at the same time, but apparently that's the situation for whatever reason, so I guess call for the question.
Okay, let's do it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Thank you.
Just out of, when is that analysis exactly?
So the board gets to appoint committee members. And we'll be doing, right now I'm currently collecting names
Okay.
of either people who are interested or willing to serve. And then there are 8 members that will be part of that committee. And then the board gets to appoint that, and that will happen in 2022.
Okay, thank you.
We'll try and get that going as quickly as possible
Yes, we
after
should
the
probably-
organizational meetings,
We
yes.
should probably
Yeah.
expedite that.
Yep.
And if anybody's watching, again, various boards, committees, we're
Yes.
always looking for volunteers.
Okay. Excellent. That is all of the new business. We'll move along to the department reports. I don't know if Brett is watching, but I want to thank him for the finance reports that he provides ahead of time. It's
Yes.
very nice to read through those and get the highlights. Makes doing the consent agenda much easier. Is there anything of note on any of the reports?
No, most of the reports were actually at last
Oh, it's
meeting.
the last meeting, that's right.
Right, so, I do have a Public Works report for you that I will send out separate. And I don't have a specific manager's report at this time.
That is okay. All right, moving along to supervisors' reports.
The only one I would have had, you stepped in for me.
Yes, that was the executive.
Thank you, by the
meeting.
way.
You're welcome. Okay, so Bob is done. Patty, do you have any updates on your committees?
Nothing from finance, as the focus has just been the budget, and you've seen it.
Okay. The
For
only one,
facilities, they're moving ahead with bidding the park, and there's also with the Whitehall Road Regional Park, and there's also design, phase 2 design for the Millbrook Marsh Education Center is underway. So those are the main things.
okay. And the only thing I have, so there was, the public safety meeting was canceled. In lieu of a joint meeting that's gonna take place between the new land use and community infrastructure and public safety, so that's coming up in November. Then the other thing that I did want to mention, from the climate action and sustainability, we had Pam Adams here last meeting providing an update on the climate action and sustainability, oh gosh, what's it called? Implementation plan. And one of the things from that committee that I wanted to share is that there's a solar tour that's going to be going on November 7th in Center County. Different neighborhoods were contacted, or people that have solar panels were contacted, and asked if they would be willing to be part of a tour, so that if anybody in the Center region has interest or wants to know a little bit more about solar panels, there's going to be a solar tour that you can sign up for. The addresses will be given out once you're registered. It's November 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. I provided Denise and Amy the information to put on our website, and you can go to solarunitedneighbors.org, and under events, you will see that there. There are 2 homes here in Halfmoon Township in Stormstown that are going to be a part of that tour. So if any residents locally in Stormstown or Halfmoon Township are interested and just want to hear about somebody who got solar panels, what the experience was like, there's rooftop installation and there's also ground mount. And both homes also have EV cars. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more or see what that's like, get that experience, I highly recommend going to solarunitedneighbors.org under events. Go ahead and register and find out more info. So it's pretty cool. Just a little FYI, my house is one of them. Just thought I'd put a plug out there too. My neighbor across the street also is the other one, so the houses are right next to each other.
Cool.
So it's easy to pop
So
by
you
if
guys
you're
can give out a
interested.
little presentation.
Yes, we can. But there's other homes in the center region in the different townships that are listed on the website. They have just the townships that are there, not the addresses yet. But you can see there's at least 6 different homes that you can go visit if you're interested in.
That's cool.
So thought that was pretty cool. Yes.
And did you do the solar power purchase?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. And your speech about the solar panels clicked, and I was
Okay.
about to touch that. We did the solar power purchase agreement meeting yesterday, and we provided all of the requested information, our last year's worth of electric, and geez, now I forgot the notes on it. I'm sorry.
The
Did-
consultant
Yes,
has
the
taken that
consultant
information.
has been hired,
Oh, very nice.
and I forgot my notes on it. Do you, off the top of your head, remember the name?
Green something.
I can get it.
Sky,
I'll
Green
forward
Sky.
it on to you when I.
Green Sky is the consultant.
Yeah.
And so this actually prompted us to look at our electric usage. And our recent contract with Constellation that I had reported on before had expired. I talked to Jolene Hinderman at West Penn Power, and she was incredibly helpful. This also helped us with an analysis that we're going to be doing with some of our energy needs. So we're currently getting 4 bills, and we're going to consolidate all that and make it
Very nice.
into one nice little package.
Okay.
So this has been incredibly a helpful exercise.
Yes, and it has cost us next to nothing to be part of all this. And once it's all said and done, I think we're really going to have a good agreement that is going to lower our energy costs while also being green and helpful to the environment. So lead by example.
Anybody else? Any other? I don't think there's any other reports.
No, the only thing is, I didn't know if anybody wanted to, I would like to, I would like to adjourn to a quick executive session
Oh.
regarding personnel.
Yes.
Okay.
We would like to.
Yes,
We are going to.
you can say no.
Really quick, since I have one sitting here. The green road signs that we've been recommending everyone sign up to purchase. This is one of them. This is the one that's going to be on my mailbox. So I would highly recommend that everyone get one of these. They help the fire department and the EMTs in emergencies at night. Makes your house very findable. So if you want to get one of these for your very own mailbox or signpost or side of your house, contact Denise at the township.
Okay. And I just have 2 little announcements for the good and welfare. I had mentioned on a different topic, the Center County Association of Township Officials, CCATO, had their fall meeting, and they had a list of 2021 scholarship recipients. So in the Center County, scholarships can be given out to folks. And I did want to mention that we have someone from Halfmoon Township, Emily Campbell, who attends South Hills Business School for diagnostic medical sonography. And she received a scholarship from CCATO, so I wanted to say congratulations. And then one more thing, we always like to try and support the people who support us. Center Lifelink EMS is someone who also supports us, and they're an ambulance service in addition to Port Matilda EMS. If you are not a member of their organization as well, I highly recommend also being a member of Center Lifelink. It's typically both organizations that come out and help for various life-saving reasons. So if you happen to get that or didn't get it, they also have their family and individual membership. So
Just for clarification, Port Matilda EMS is our primary.
Yes.
They have 2 ambulances. If both ambulances happen to be out, then Center
Center
Lifelink
Lifelink kicks
is
in.
our backup.
So just 2 announcements. Anything else for good and welfare before we close the meeting? All right, seeing none, meeting adjourned.